November 15th, Thursday, another 3-gamer. Rockets-Warriors probably seemed like it would have been a good game at the beginning of the season. Not so much anymore. Nuggets-Hawks, the battle of the Plumlees. Clippers-Spurs in the late-night hammer after the Spurs get beat by 20 against the Suns. What are we doing here today, Laffy?
Yeah, it's not great, huh? And now you've got 2 days in the same week where you have the Hawks on a 3-game slate,
Yeah.
right? Like the way that this is shaping up, Houston, Golden State, Denver, and Atlanta were 4 of the 6 teams that were on Tuesday's 3-game slate. So, that's cool, I guess. And let's not forget the Spurs under Greg Popovich are playing their second game of a back-to-back, which was why Rudy Gay sat yesterday on the first leg.
Yeah.
It's not all that great. What was the third game? What was the third game on Tuesday? Who was that? It was Denver, Houston, Golden State Hawks.
It was...
It was it had to have been the 7 p.m. game. Cleveland, Charlotte. It was Cleveland, Charlotte. Yeah, that's right.
That went real well.
Swimmingly, yeah. I mean, actually, dude, I'll tell you, right now, you've just got to get everything right. Like, on these 3 games, you need every player. Every player's got to. You have to hit on every one of them. Which I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, but it makes it difficult when you're dealing with teams like Cleveland, or particularly when you're dealing with teams like Atlanta, because you have Amari Spellman. What a waste of space that guy was.
Yeah, that didn't go well. That didn't go well at all.
I mean, yeah, I'll sit here right now and tell you that killed me the other day. So, it's always funny if someone's like, "Oh, great call on this guy. He was garbage." It's like, buddy, I played him too. You're not making my life any worse or better by telling me that. I already felt like shit when he did nothing the other day. So, yeah, that happened. And like in a matchup that seemed optimal for him, where it's like, okay, he'll probably play minutes at the 5. He can't kill you. Oh, yeah. I stand corrected, sir.
Do me a favor. Keep ranting. I gotta go grab 2 batteries. My mouse keeps dying. And obviously that's gonna be a bit of a problem.
I'm not very good at ranting.
All right, here's what we'll do.
I'm joking. Of course.
I was going to say, we can get into this and we can start on Houston and Golden State if you'd like. The first game of the night, which I would not have expected.
Go get we can do that.
Yeah, let's tip it off. I'll throw it to you for some Harden, Chris Paul, Clint Capella takes, and I'll go run downstairs and grab 2 batteries. But Rockets 111.25 implied total. Golden State 108.75. This is really weird to me that, like, I can't believe the Warriors. One, I can't believe the Warriors are underdogs in this game with the way the Rockets have been playing. 2, not that I understand why they are, but that's neither here nor there. 2, 108.75 implied total is very pedestrian for Golden State.
Sure is.
Games, the Rockets have been playing slow. So we've got Harden at 11.7 on FanDuel, 10.7 on DK. Chris Paul at 9 and 8 respectively, and then Capella at essentially 8 and 7. Everybody probably looking a little bit better on DraftKings. How are you going to handle Harden, Paul, and in this case Capella, who I don't really love in this spot? Talk to me about the big 3 of Houston while I go get batteries.
I'm going to let you get batteries, but I'm going to start with Golden State because I want to talk about this Draymond Green, Kevin Durant situation.
That's fair. Dive in.
So I worry that this could actually influence the way this game plays out. I could be completely wrong. But you look at the Draymond Green situation, there's no question that Kevin Durant probably could have done something to shield him from losing that $140,000 paycheck, from getting suspended in Tuesday's game, but he didn't. I believe he called him a bitch along the lines of that. From what we saw, there's been a lot of internal turmoil with the Golden State Warriors locker room from what we've heard, but they're very good. The entire organization, whether it be Kerr or the front office or the players. They're very good at downplaying it. I can't remember who. I think it was David West after they won the finals last year that said, "Yeah, you wouldn't believe what we went." He said something that basically alluded to the fact that this team is had a lot going on internally, and I think that will influence them, but it's not going to do anything to keep you away from Kevin Durant. You look at his production with Curry off the floor. He's a monster. You're getting production from him day in and day out without Curry. We know that Curry's out for at least 3 more games. Kevin Durant, since the start of last year, has monster numbers without Curry. But if you just look at him this year without Stephen Curry, it's equally appealing. Pulling these numbers up now, without Curry on the floor this year, Durant has a 37% usage rate. Yeah. 1.67 fantasy points per minute and a 38% assist rate. Just to kind of get a little deeper into this, to what he's producing. He played 139 minutes without Curry this year. He's attempted, so let's see, 139 divided by 36, 3.861. He is attempting 21 field goal attempts per 36 without Curry. And I think there's just simply no way you don't look at Kevin Durant as the top overall play on this slate once again. I know he was disappointing in that second of a back-to-back, Josh, against Atlanta. But you know what? He still shot 23 times. It was the second of a back-to-back. He played 39 minutes in an overtime game the day before. Now he's had a day to rest. You go right back to the well with Kevin Durant against the Houston team, whose defense has done nothing to really look. Their defense is not very good right now. I don't think it scares anybody, and it certainly doesn't concern me all that much.
No, not at all. It hasn't. It just simply hasn't been good. Like, that's the easiest way to say it.
Are you not curious to see? They're bottom 10, by the way. Are you not curious to see how this team looks with this turmoil, this dysfunction? Because you remember what David West said last year?
Yeah.
After they won the finals, I forget what it was. It's gonna drive me nuts, but I remember I wanted to find out. He said something like,
he said that it was, he made a vague notion that, like, they went through some shit last year,
right?
And like,
exactly.
The public has no idea.
Right. And this seems to have been a long-standing thing with this team where they're good at keeping it under wraps, yet this time they couldn't. So it'll be interesting to see how it affects them. But either Kevin Durant or Draymond Green is going to go out and have a monster game just to kind of metaphorically spit in the other's face. And if I had to put my money on one of them, it would be the guy who can actually shoot 20 times a game.
Yeah, it's really hard to not want Kevin Durant here. They don't have, like, the extra safety blanket of Luka Mbamute now. It's just PJ Tucker as a functional defender for Houston. At least a functional defender that can come at Durant. And at that point, then they're pretty thin elsewhere defensively. It's a great spot for Durant. I wish his price was a little lower, but I mean, it's certainly where it should be. Probably should be higher, honestly. He's a hard dude to avoid on this 3-gamer.
He's pretty much impossible to avoid, in my opinion. I mean, you have Jokic, and we'll get to him because that's definitely a good spot. By the way, we didn't talk about this at the beginning of the show, but Jokic is questionable. Said he's fine, but he got X-rays, and we know how that goes over a couple days later. Alex Len is questionable. Dwayne Dedmon remains out. Avery Bradley's still questionable. Mbamute's questionable. Draymond Green is actually still questionable. There are a lot of moving parts in this slate. Like, only 3 games, but this could break a lot of. If Alex Len is out, now Miles Plumlee is going to play 30 minutes potentially, unless they go super small. But I don't see that being a favorable notion against Denver. But just saying, not to jump all over the place. You do have a lot of moving parts here for only 3 games.
We really do. We have ownership out right now I assume you have not taken a look at that yet.
I have it pulled up.
Don't look at it.
Okay, I won't. I haven't. I have not.
Okay. Harden and Durant, obviously two studs for this particular day, separated by $400 on DraftKings. What would you expect their ownership to be right now?
I'll be honest with you. With the way I've seen Durant's ownership coming in so much lower than I think it should, and with the way that you phrased this question, I'm going to put Harden above him in ownership projected right now.
How about double?
Yeah, it's crazy.
38 to Harden, Durant at 20.
I don't get it.
I don't either.
People hate playing Kevin. I would get it if Harden was the 9,400 that he was on Monday.
Yeah.
Or Sunday, sorry. He's not. I'm going to still have some Harden, don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Oh, no, on a 3-game slate, if you leave yourself unexposed to James Harden,
exactly,
you are taking a stand that is probably quite risky. Like if he's expected to be 38% owned, you could not like him, but you probably still want to have like 15%.
Exactly. But I don't understand how you can look at this Kevin Durant spot and not just see it being in a blow up spot for him, not because of the matchup in particular, but because his usage is so high, his volume is so high with Curry off the floor. Yeah. Like, yeah, Thompson's going to get some work, but Draymond Green's not taking away. Excuse me, he's not taking away your fantasy production or your shot volume, and Quinn Cook certainly isn't making a huge difference, right?
No.
I did have a decent amount of him on Tuesday, but that was only because that was only because it was 3 games and he took 18 shots and it was the second of a back-to-back. Like Kevin Durant is the man in Golden State, and it's going to stay that way. So yeah, to me, I feel like Kevin Durant's ownership should be double Harden's. But if it truly is going to be reversed like that, then I'm certainly going to have, I'm going to be way over the field on Durant, not even intentionally. It's just going to happen.
I don't have anything to disagree with there. I'm with you. I've got him projected for this game for a 35% usage rate and 21 field goal attempts plus 7.5 free throws.
How do you fade that?
You don't, I don't think. You certainly don't. Especially if he's 20. Like, oh God, if he's 20, I want 50 probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somewhere in that neighborhood.
For sure. And if Dre is out, I'm seeing in some places that he's not even questionable, but then other places I'm seeing that he is. So let's just, hypothetically say that he is out. You probably got to go right. I mean, Jonas Drebko did us great the other night. We got that news. We got that news like real late, so it wasn't really something you could talk about on the shows. But and he played 25 minutes. I don't expect a 14.13 rebound double, right? But I do think that if you get 25 minutes from him, and he's gotten 25 and 26 minutes in 2 starts recently, then you absolutely have to consider the guy at his price point.
I really hope Draymond plays.
Right, just so you can see the dysfunction on the court.
Yeah, he's 8K on FanDuel. We have his ownership at 9%. That might have something to do with like health. But if it's that low, he's just underpriced at 8,000. He's 8,100 on DK. Like I just want to have some Draymond on a 3-game slate at 8K without Curry on the floor.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with that. The reason I don't want Dre to play is because I just want to jam Harden and LeBron in together. And I know that'll obviously be a move that's popularized if that is the case, but I'm certainly going to try and make it work myself. And I think this could end up as one of those games where Durant and Harden in the second half or the fourth quarter just trade blows on differing possessions, just back and forth. I think it's one of those games where you could certainly see that come to fruition. And both of them have the upside to break the slate. Granted, a 3-game slate, no doubt about it. But let me ask you this: we talk about Durant, and as I said, Jerebko with how cheap he is. That doesn't really need much of an explanation. It's just kind of like, yeah, you play him. He's 39 on FanDuel too, which is insane, right?
Yeah, I
And
had a lot of like just all of that under 4K slop on the Warriors on Tuesday.
yeah,
Wasn't and this was before we knew anything about Jerebko. I just had a good amount of Jerebko, Jordan Bell, Looney, Damian Jones. I didn't know who it was going to be, but with FanDuel
I'm
being
done
able to
playing.
drop, like it was
Right.
a no, like I needed to spread it out.
Right. I'm done playing Jordan Bell, by the way.
Safe bet.
Yeah, I got away from him on Tuesday, but he's been a guy that's burnt me quite a bit over the last year. If Jerebko starts, and I assume he would, like Jerebko is the guy. Honestly, I think it's that simple. Like Steve Kerr is not really interested in giving Jordan Bell big minutes if the game's competitive, and this game should be competitive. Like Kevin Looney's going to play 20, 23 minutes. Um, Alfonso McKinney is going to play like 17, 20 minutes. So even with Dre out, Jordan Bell probably like he played 11 minutes last game. You know, Jerebko played 20. So I'm not interested, but
Yeah.
I'm curious to know where you are with the back. We both agree that Klay Thompson, even if he sees some Chris Paul defense, is still viable because of his usage with no Kevin Durant or with no Curry. But what about Quinn Cook?
Probably not a guy that I'll get to with any sort of volume. He's 5,800, and I just don't like. He didn't play a ton of minutes. What was it? Whatever game, the argument game, I guess. He played more in the last one because there was no Draymond and no Curry. So you need someone that's a bit more of like a facilitator, so to speak. Well, with Draymond on the floor, like I don't really. What's the need for Quinn Cook, especially at 5,800? If he's priced at like 4K or something, sure, but he's just kind of empty for this game. I don't really see it as a spot. Everything has to go right for him. I didn't get any on my first crunch.
Yeah. Also, I actually think the biggest reason that he got more minutes, I don't think it was Dre, or obviously Curry, but it was Curry. But I think it was because it was the second of a back-to-back, and you have veterans like Iguodala and Livingston who are going to get less run on those games. And Iguodala played 33 minutes and then 26. But I guess if Iggy played, if he closed the game in overtime on the 12th against the Clippers, then I guess let me just see here. Then I guess his minutes would have been pretty much the same. Let's see if he closed that game. He did. So that means that he only played 2 minutes less than he did. He played 2 minutes less than he did the game before, and then Livingston played 2 fewer minutes, while Quinn Cook played 12 more minutes. So yeah, there's somewhere the minutes that have to be accounted for. So you're right. I don't know where. I don't know if it's Quinn Cook just gets hot and Kerr lets him play, like if he's playing a better game or what. But with Livingston back in the mix and Iguodala capable of playing point guard for like 5-minute stretches, it definitely makes Quinn Cook a lot more volatile than I'd like.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect to have any of him, particularly on FanDuel, by the time I get to closer to lock. Like if I'm going to play Quinn Cook at 5,800, I don't really see what my upside is. I'd rather just play Sean Livingston and punt the position and hope that he just does well. Like, yeah, I need Quinn Cook to go for like 35 or something to be happy on FanDuel. It's just seems like a tough sell.
Yeah, I'll do you one better. Like I'd rather pay down a little bit for Gilgeous-Alexander, who's playing monster minutes each night right now. Now, we obviously have to wait on Avery Bradley news, but I still think you get, 30. I think you still get like 30 or so minutes from him.
Yeah.
Or Derek White, who played 29 minutes last night, is a rookie. I know he had that heel injury, but I don't think that's even affecting him anymore. So if he's not limited at all, you've got veterans on this Spurs team that are probably going to see a little bit of limited run. Not as many vets anymore, but so Derek White's another guy. It's not like you can't get cheaper. Patrick Beverley is another player, volatile, of course, but if Bradley's out too, he's going to see 30, 35 minutes. So there's definitely options here at point guard cheaper than Quinn Cook with similar, if not higher, upside.
Yeah, they're actually priced a little bit different on FanDuel. Gilgeous-Alexander and Derek White are actually both ahead of Quinn Cook. Gilgeous-Alexander
That's
$200 more
interesting.
expensive. Derek White $100 more expensive. Neither here nor
Okay.
there. But I would rather have those guys either way.
On DraftKings, SGA's 400 less, Derek White is 900 cheaper, and Beverly's $1,000 on the button cheaper.
Quick pause to say, everybody like and subscribe. Hit that thumbs up button. If you haven't subscribed to us, use the promo code NBA Strategy. 7-day free trial. You can use that on any package that we have. You get access to all of our rankings, projections, ownership projections, articles, all the good stuff. So just do that. Anything else you want to touch on from this Houston Golden State game? I think it's too early to try to break down who to play in like the sub 4K range for Golden State. So really it's just, what do you do with Chris Paul? What do you do with Clint Capella? Do you think that Eric Gordon is ever going to be Eric Gordon again?
Dude, what a disappointment. He came out of the gate, scored 9 quick points, and then just completely disappeared last game, but played 33 minutes, right? Like, he's getting a ton of run.
Yeah.
It's so hard to go to him here. I'm gonna be honest with you, though, and look, if you try to play it conservatively, just tune out for a second. I'm still going to have some Eric Gordon tonight. I am. Like, I know that. I can tell you that right now, that I'm still going to have some 5K Eric Gordon on DraftKings.
You're not in the minority.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, because the more popular he is, the less I want of him. But
Sure.
he's 28% projected ownership on DraftKings is higher than I expected. But look, people are seeing this as, believe it or not, a significant pace up spot for the Houston Rockets.
Yeah.
They're playing at the 3rd slowest pace in the league. Warriors are playing at the 12th fastest, pretty much top 10, almost identical to the number 10 Thunder. So I will have some Eric Gordon, because could he go out there and take 20 shots, Josh? Absolutely.
Sure.
And as much as it terrifies me, I'm going to have some interest. Clint Capella, on the other hand, this is tough, because if Dre plays, the Warriors are really good at taking those lobs away. They're really good at taking, the easy pick and roll or just quick bounce passes into the lane. They're good at taking them away from centers. So we've seen Dre do that to Capella in the past. It worries me, but on a 3-game slate, Capella at that price will still be a guy that I roster. Right now on DraftKings, we have him as the highest projected owned player on the slate. And if that remains consistent throughout the day, there's no question that I'm going to have I'm going to be a lot lower than the field on Capella. What about you?
So I got 0 Capella on my first FanDuel crunch. We have him projected for 25% ownership. And I want to point out how ridiculous it is that I got 0. There are, by all accounts on FanDuel, I've projected 6 guys with center eligibility over 15 minutes tonight. Nikola Jokic is 9,700. Clint Capella is 8,100. Then we drop all the way to $4,700 Alex Len. And then finally we close it out with Looney, Gortat, Mason Plumlee.
Wow. Maybe it's because Capella's only $1,600 cheaper than Nikola Jokic.
I got 70% Nikola Jokic on my first crunch.
There's your answer.
Yeah, I know why it happened, but it's just really, you very rarely see 2 legitimate centers, 1 punt center, and nothing else.
No doubt. It's crazy, dude. There's not a guy. There's 9,700, 8,100, and nothing. Down to 49. Well,
yeah.
Hal's out, so 4,800.
Len is 4,700. He's $3,400 cheaper than Capella.
And he might not even play.
I only have 3 guys projected higher than 25 minutes at center.
That's wild. That's just, it's crazy. You're going to get a lot of Jokic. But, I keep going back to this. Do you want to move to the Denver game, Denver-Atlanta game?
Let's touch on Chris Paul quickly.
Go ahead.
Because he's a guy that grades out for me really well every day. He's at 9K on FanDuel, 8K on DraftKings. I mean, he hit my 70% ownership cap on my original crunch. I don't know. I don't know if I'm just not comfortable with it, or if I need to dig into it a little bit further, or it's right on a 3-game slate because there aren't that many other places to pay up. I'm still stinging a little bit from playing a lot of LaMarcus Aldridge yesterday and him just laying a complete egg. But I'm going to have a lot of Chris Paul unless I can figure out a reason why I shouldn't.
I mean, that's an interesting approach. I think the reason, at least personally, that I have trepidation with playing Chris Paul is because 9K on FanDuel and 8K on DraftKings, he's priced accurately.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's overpriced. I'm not saying he's actually, he's a little bit overpriced. A little bit. Because you've had guys like Dennis Schroeder below 8K for, 4 straight games now with Westbrook out. We saw Levine drop back below 8K. You've seen so many of these quality players that are basically doing the same thing Chris Paul is when Harden's on the court, have cheaper price points with basically better production. So I'd say maybe a little bit overpriced, but still overall it's pretty fair. And that's what makes it tough. Like if Paul was 73, again on Sunday, him and Harden were vastly underpriced, and I couldn't tell you why. Then he was a lock. For real. Chris Paul was an absolute lock on Sunday. It's 7,300 on DraftKings. You play him everywhere, right? It's just simple.
Yeah.
Once he gets up to 8K, it's not like it's egregious, but it also makes you second guess because you have Jokic on this slate. You've got DeRozan on this slate. You've got Klay Thompson, whose price is coming up. You've got a lot of guys in that range that will make you think twice about it.
Yeah. So I looked at Paul's points per minute. He's at 1.25, which puts him at 45 FanDuel points, which is exactly what I have him projected for. So he's there for value. I just don't know how to get away from him because I don't trust having him in 2/3 of my lineups, clearly. And there's a lot Jamal Murray, Trae Young, Gilgeous-Alexander, Derek White, Pat Bev. Yeah. There are options punting completely and going to someone like Patty Mills.
No doubt. No, I mean, there's no question. This is a 3-game slate where we do have options. That's for sure. And we definitely have a fair amount of options on this slate.
Yeah.
I guess it just depends, where are you looking to go on this one? Because with Chris Paul, I'm crunching right now. I'm curious to see where everybody ends up. I just hit the crunch. We'll see how much Chris Paul pops up. Yeah, he's coming in. Yeah, he's coming around 25% right now.
Okay.
I have the randomness set at 0 just to see.
I feel like if I ran a crunch on FanDuel right now, I would get Chris Paul in 75% of my lineups. Or sorry, when I said FanDuel, I meant DraftKings.
Really? What do you have him projected at?
44.6.
Oh wow, yeah, you're gonna probably get quite a bit. I have 42.6. So not massively different.
No.
Oh man, first crunch had a bunch of Monty Morris.
He is a very popular player for me today as well. I got 57% on FanDuel. Do we want to switch over to the Denver Nuggets and Atlanta Hawks?
Let's make it happen.
Okay. Nuggets.
This Alex Len situation is really interesting if he sits.
Yeah. I mean, I'd probably end up with 80% Miles Plumlee or something stupid.
Yeah. In all seriousness, so I don't care. Like Jarrell Martin the other day, I'll happily end up with 85, 90% of a guy and just run the risk of something going terribly wrong if we really think that, they're the only body there, unless Lloyd Pierce wants to run Spellman at the 5, which apparently wasn't the case on Wednesday or Tuesday. Sure. Go ahead.
Nuggets 117 implied total, Hawks 105. So Nuggets 12-point favorites here at home. We're probably better off starting on the Atlanta side. Variability in Alex Len, but the main takeaway here, Alex Len is $4,700 on FanDuel and $4,600 on DK. If Alex Len is playing, and we get word that Alex Len is starting, which he would be starting if he's playing, by all accounts, I'm just going to have like a really asinine amount of Alex Len.
Yeah.
But the problem is, by going to Alex Len, he's just wildly underpriced for what he would have to do with Dwayne Dedmon out. By going to that much Alex Len, that is how I'm going to naturally get to more Chris Paul. I'm just going to have too much money.
Probably so. Yeah. Especially if you're getting Monty Morris that's popping up. I just capped everyone at 70% to see where things would end up.
Sure.
And that's not how I'm doing it tonight, but just, for a quick run. And Alex Len came in at 70%.
Yeah.
Which is,
and he's priced better on the other site. That's the craziest part of it all.
Yeah. Yeah. Brace for impact is all I can say. Like, Alex Len played 32 minutes last game. Played 27 the game before that. He's getting the run with Dedmon out. There's no question. But he also had 5 personal fouls in each of those games. Now he's going up against Jokic. It could get ugly, but that's a risk you simply have to take. I think, if the foul trouble is an issue, then maybe get a little bit of Miles Plumlee in there and hope that Plumlee can come away with a decent game. But basically the way it's looking right now from what we've seen with Dedmon out, if Len plays, Miles Plumlee is going to play like 14 to 16 minutes,
I've got him in for 14 right now.
Yeah. So that's what I would expect.
Yeah, Mike Johan Solo in chat is bringing in some really not awesome takes. Alex Len never gets enough minutes ever. Dude played 34 minutes. He would have been in 100% of my lineups if I knew that 2 nights ago.
Yeah, 32, but still.
Is that what it was? 32? Yeah, and 27. Well, he played more minutes in the last 2 than I'm projecting him for today, and he's still arguably the best value of the entire slate if he gets those minutes.
Yeah, Alex Len never gets enough minutes ever because Dwayne Dedmon's been healthy.
Yeah.
Like, Dwayne Dedmon's not healthy. He's out. And in each of his last 2 seasons, Alex Len has produced north of 1 fantasy point per minute. This year, he's right under 1 fantasy point per minute. So let's assume that Alex Len doesn't get enough minutes and only plays 25. The law of averages tells you you're still probably getting around 25 fantasy points from him at a cheap price point. And that's just if he doesn't. That's just if he has a reasonable game. A decent game.
Yeah, I only have him in for 26 minutes in this game today, and he's already projecting in my model for 6x on FanDuel. No one's ever at that number as a projection.
No, and it's not like the Hawks have this, miniature front court. It's not like they have this undersized front court. I mean, Jokic isn't your hugest center, but I mean, he is 7 foot 250. Like, he's a big guy. Paul Millsap is what, 6'8", 250. The guy plays way bigger though.
Sure.
Because he's just built huge. So there's not a front court where you're just gonna have your smaller guys in there banging with them. Doesn't make any sense. So I don't see why
Jokic and Plumlee as the 2 centers for Denver means Len and Plumlee are going to have to play a lot.
Right. Yeah, unless he's in foul trouble.
Yeah. And if Len is in foul trouble, you want to make sure that you have some Miles Plumlee. He's flat minimum on FanDuel. There aren't that many center options. He's 3,300 on DK. Like, on this slate, if you're like, you want to think about that and play Miles Plumlee, and in this case, Alex Len.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, dude, they got a guy in Hernan Gomez who could start at center on many teams, and he's starting at small forward. So
that's a good point.
I
don't love this spot for Spellman today.
No, I love nothing for Spellman anymore. He's that was brutal. I mean, seriously, that was the epitome of worst case scenario, right? Just couldn't have gone any worse than that. Like, he played 27, 28 minutes over his last 3. Comes in with a matchup where they could go small. You're thinking, okay, if Alex Len gets big run, Spellman's still going to play. Why would Spellman's still going to get the minutes? that couldn't have been further from the truth. Prince played 39 minutes. But you know what's interesting about this? Bembry only played 16 minutes in that game.
I don't know
Like
what's up
it
with that.
wasn't. Yeah.
I mean, they've got a lot of bodies, I guess.
I mean,
they're not particularly good bodies.
right, but they do right. Poitras played 21 minutes.
Yeah, what do we do there? Flat minimum on both sites. I have a hard time projecting him for anything other than 10, 11 minutes.
Yeah, you have to assume, and I'm pulling up the rotation right now, but you have to assume that a bunch of those minutes were in place of Spellman, right? Like you have to assume that.
Yeah.
That's all I could. That's what I think. I mean, Spellman. So he played. Look at this, 5.5 minutes, and then he comes out, and then he comes back in to close out the first quarter with Kent Bazemore, and then he doesn't play a single minute in the second quarter. Interestingly, Poitras only played 2 minutes in that quarter. You got Len played the entire second. Trae Young and Prince played most of it. Kevin Huerter played 7 minutes. Vince Carter played 10 minutes in the second quarter. So the most frequent lineup that they used in the second quarter was Young, Prince, Kevin Huerter, who else? Len and
Chat is dramatically overreacting to Alex Poitras tonight. I think
who?
we might want to all YouTube chat.
What are they saying?
He played 16 straight minutes to close the third quarter and the fourth quarter in a blowout.
Yep.
Why do we expect him to suddenly be like getting a lot of time?
It's tough because I don't know how much of a blowout it really was. I think they were only up by 15, but I
mean, they were up 15 with 8 minutes to go in the game.
Yeah, teams usually don't empty their bench in a case like that.
They were finishing with Len, Poitras, Lynn,
Prince,
Bazemore, and Prince, which is,
I mean, so they had 3 of their starters out there.
Not a traditional closing lineup.
No, not at all. But I'm saying Prince wouldn't have played in a blowout. Neither would Bazemore. I don't know. Look, I'm not sure the overreaction is all that warranted because it's not like this dude is going to go out there and drop monster points. And I don't know. I'm not sure I see the need for it. I really don't. Like you're banking like I'd rather just play Monty Morris at a little, like I get it. He's a little bit more, he's not minimum salary, but like you're basically saying, okay, with Poitras, he played 2.5, he played 4.5 minutes in the first half. And then he entered with 3:55 left in the third, and like you said, finished the game out.
That's about as untraditional of a way to like be in a rotation as it gets.
Totally, but it also means that Spellman, who has been playing 28 minutes a game, that means that you're expecting Lloyd Pierce to have given up on Spellman here in favor of Poitras, which doesn't make any sense. You're expecting, like, okay, so Prince and Bazemore were both on the court. Len was on the court, and then you had Lynn and Poitras. Okay, so you didn't have Trae Young closing out the game. Do you think that's going to be the case going forward? I certainly don't.
No.
That while I couldn't tell you exactly why this lineup looks the way it does, I can pretty much assure you that this is not something that Lloyd Pierce is going to continue doing. I don't see any reason why he would keep Trae Young off the court in situations like this. And Spellman was just having a really bad game. So if you're playing Poitras, that means that you expect Spellman's minutes to go down go into the tank, not just last game, but now this game as well. And I'm just not willing to predict that.
Yeah, I agree. Are you looking at anybody from the Hawks with any sort of appeal? I'm pretty good with, like, I like having some Prince here.
Yeah, I always, like, I never mind playing Prince because he's not that expensive. He's 5,900. He's gonna if this game stays close, which obviously that's difficult to predict. They're big dogs on the road. There's 12.5-point dogs. Um, if they do stay competitive, Prince is playing 35 plus minutes, like, or at least close to it. And he's a shooter. He takes a lot of shots. He's not the greatest player, but
No.
I think at 5,900 he can easily pay that price tag off. So yeah, you mentioned Prince outside of Alex Len, of course, or Plumlee if Len is out. Prince is kind of always my preferred option here once he gets below 6K.
Alex Poythress, by the way, projected for absolutely zero ownership on both sites. So,
I mean, it makes sense.
yeah,
Look,
no,
if
that's
you
exactly
want,
what it should be.
you want to throw a dart, go ahead. Just understand that it's unlikely
They hit the board.
Yeah, it's yeah. It's unlikely that he plays 16 straight minutes to close out a game. Like
it's unlikely that he plays 16 minutes.
Correct.
I'll give him the whole game.
Correct. Like his first half rotation. It's weird because with Lloyd Pierce, you really have no clue what he's going to do. But if you take his first half rotation and assume that that's closer than his second half rotation, that gives him around 10, 12 minutes in the game total.
Yeah. And I think that's a pretty safe bet than trying to figure out the rotation of a 15-point game in the fourth quarter against the defending champ Warriors.
Correct.
Let's talk about Denver. I don't really have a rational opinion to make about Nikola Jokic in that he's basically the only real center I like. I'm going to have a ton of him, barring any weird news where I basically punt the position, but I don't like rostering him. I don't like these days where he doesn't shoot.
No? Yeah, I'm not big on him either.
I don't understand why it happens. I just don't understand any of it. And it makes it incredibly frustrating because I want to like him just always, and then he'll have 0 field goal attempts in 34 minutes. And you're just like, aren't you supposed to be like arguably the best offensive big man in basketball?
Well, stop it. Joel Embiid is just significantly better than him.
But, we're talking about just offense? I don't know if I agree with you.
Oh, totally, dude. Totally. Undoubtedly.
If Joel, I don't think that I can agree with you here. If that's the case, then Joel Embiid probably is the best player in the league. He's one of the three best defensive players in basketball. Look,
Jokic is awesome. But are you talking about as a facilitator too?
I just mean in general, as a person who brings offensive skill to the game, everything, scoring, distribution, everything. I would rather have Jokic if I were on an offensive possession.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's insane.
Now, I would rather have Joel Embiid as the basketball player because Jokic is not even in the same stratosphere as him defensively. But yeah, I think I'm pretty comfortable saying that I would prefer Jokic offensively to Embiid.
Really?
I don't think that's a crazy take.
Joel Embiid just offensively dominant, like dominant.
Now, if he continues to be playing the way that he's been playing and dropping like near triple doubles in the first half, like he did last night,
he triple doubled on the game too.
I thought he was going to get it in the fucking first quarter at the rate he was moving. Yeah, I don't think that that's a really crazy take. I hope I'm right.
Well,
I mean, I know you're going to be an Embiid fan here. You're a Philly homer wearing an Embiid shirt right now.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But the guy's going to the line 20 times a game. Like, you can't stop him.
Yeah, that feels unsustainable. But
How?
I mean, you're right. Look, you're right. This season in particular, this stretch of 12 games that we've had so far, Embiid has been on an absolute other level offensively.
Mind you, he's only in his third season. Like, there's a difference between not being sustainable and, like, you could say it's not sustainable, or then on the other hand, you could say, well, he just keeps getting better because he works so hard to get better, and he's only in his third year. Like, this is his third year. And his first season, he played like 31 games. So, I don't know. Nevertheless,
Embiid is averaging 10 more points a game. It's not even close. If that's how we're measuring offense, then we can just stop this conversation right now. I don't think either Laffy or myself are thinking about points per game.
No, not points, but just his ability. Like if you watch Embiid play, he imposes his will on every single defense necessary. Like if Embiid wanted to average 6 or 7 assists per game, he could, but you don't want him to because you want him to score. Like he's there. It's just you can't. He's going to have some bad games here and there, but he's like you can't stop him. The teams are sending doubles and triples at him, and he's still beating them. Like I just think he's wildly dominant in the post, just everywhere. His 3-point shooting, he was shooting 33%. That needs some work, but my God, the guy is just hard. Like opposing teams, when Philly comes into town, it's basically like, okay, how do we stop Embiid first? That's all that matters. Because if we don't stop Embiid, then we have no chance. So yeah, I do think that in terms of offensive big men, I don't think it's a question that he's the best big man offensively in the league. That's my take.
Offensive RPM last season, Nikola Jokic flat 4, Embiid 1.5.
We'll talk about this. No, but we're talking about this year. I'm talking about how they look. Players evolve. Players get better.
Right. Look, I agree. I don't want this to come out. I mean, people are treating this like I said. Embiid is like some scrub. I don't. We're comparing 2 of the 5 best offensive big men in basketball. It's not.
What are you?
It's
you
not
getting some comments. You getting some comments in the chat?
Well, I'm getting people. I think people are trying to think that I think Embiid is bad.
And that's what I thought.
I think Nikola Jokic is the best offensive center in basketball. It's a portion of the game.
All right, fair enough.
I have a hard time saying that if Embiid is the best offensive center in the game, and then he's also the best defensive center in the game, that's a lot. That is a lot.
I mean, yeah, I have him as the best overall center in the game, and I feel pretty comfortable saying that.
I would agree with you
if that's where we're going.
I would agree with you. But I can't have. I don't think it's feasible to have him as first in both. Do you think he's like this? See, this season in particular is going to bury this conversation. Like, do you think Embiid is a better offensive player than Karl Anthony Towns?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. He's just, again, he absolutely imposes his will on other teams. And that's what the best big men in basketball for years upon years have done. Decades. They impose their will. They basically make it so that you have to completely sell out against them in order to win. Got to get this win set. It's the mindset, Laffy. And to some extent, yeah, it is. Like, yes, it is. Towns is, equally talented. Towns is awesome. Towns is really good, like really, really good. But yes, I still think Joel Embiid is a more polished offensive player. And he's someone that will just keep coming at you no matter what. He's like, yeah, I don't just want to use points per game, but when you're averaging 11 free throw attempts, and you're scoring 28 points, and you just teams are fouling out their center rotation to stop Embiid.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. Like, and the reason I am using this season is because all he ever does is work. He's only ever in the gym. So I don't think that this is a fluke. I don't think it's unsustainable at all, actually. I really don't. I don't think it's unsustainable because, unlike his teammate Ben Simmons, Embiid is just constantly working to better himself. When they were bringing doubles on him and he was struggling to pass out of it, he talked about how he had to fix that. And then the very next game, the next team did the same thing, and he rocked them for 42 real points. So, I just think that the way that this kid works and the mentality that he has combined with his skill set makes him virtually unstoppable on a game-to-game basis. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah,
but he's not on this slate. So whatever.
I don't disagree. Big Embiid fan. Fantastic. Man, I did not think that I was going to get clobbered for that one.
I mean, it's
we do not have a very deep advanced stats YouTube chat right now, I don't think.
Yeah, no, certainly not.
I'm getting my claw clean for that. Jokic was the clear answer. I probably would have said Cousins if he didn't have a blown out Achilles, and I would have got destroyed for that one too.
Um, I don't think you'd get destroyed for that. Cousins is a monster. I would still put Cousins ahead of Embiid. Um, I love DeMarcus Cousins. I'd put Cousins ahead of Embiid. But right now, like right now, if the season ended today, how do you not give Joel Embiid the damn MVP? I'm serious. Like if the season ended today, I think you'd be hard pressed to not at least consider Joel Embiid for the MVP.
I don't think he's even. This is good. Okay, so if the season ended today, I don't think he's in the discussion.
How?
They're 9-7
Like
with a negative point differential. It just goes to Giannis or
mm,
someone else that's playing well.
man.
I'm very look. I'm not saying that Embiid is not playing well, but if the season ended today, they're 9-7, and it's going to Giannis or Durant or Kawhi or something.
Kawhi. They'd be
just naming the teams that are at the top with 10 plus wins.
They'd be 0-16 if Embiid wasn't on the court.
Yeah.
Think about that. Like they probably would 1-15 if 2-14.
Okay, they're 9-7 right now. What do you think their record is if you switch him with Nikola Jokic?
I don't know. I don't know. 7-9,
okay.
6-10. I mean, he has 9 games with 30 plus points, 10 plus rebounds. He just racked up a triple double last game out. He's second in the league in scoring. He's fourth in the league in rebounds. He is fifth in blocked shots. Defense, he's one of the best defensive players in the league. He leads the league in free throw attempts by 2 full attempts per game almost over James Harden. He's shooting above 80% from the line. And that's not even factoring in his defensive skill set, which we all know is spectacular. So to not even be considered because they're 9-7 to me is outrageous.
I agree.
Like he's literally crushing every single category, man. Call me a homer, I get it, but like even an objective viewpoint of this would say that Joel Embiid has been dominant enough to where there's no way he can't be he shouldn't be considered. That's all. Like he literally
look, I'm with you.
It's
just never the case. Like nobody with that record ever wins it unless you're Russell Westbrook and you average a triple double. Like you need some sort of like visual cue to make that happen when you're 9-7 and have a below average point differential. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, is Embiid like on an individual basis for me personally? Yeah, I would vote for Embiid.
I'm not saying he would. I'm saying he should if it ended today.
Yeah, I would vote for Embiid today if it were me. But that is not how this vote would go.
Yeah, I mean, I also think you look at record. To me, it's like, what is the record and what would the record be without them? You know? So I think that plays heavily into it as well. But
for sure. That was a nice Jokic Embiid debate on a 3-gamer.
I'll get into that any day. Man, I can't tell you how many Harden versus Westbrook debates I had last year or the season before that. Because people were saying that, if Harden last year, if Harden wasn't on the court, the Rockets would have been just as good, which is an outrageous take, like just ridiculously dumb, just terribly stupid. And that's crazy. Like, oh, they already have a good team. Come on, man. That's insane. It's just whatever. It doesn't even then if Jokic plays against Atlanta, keep in mind too, I think people have this misconception that Denver plays pace up basketball. They don't. They're bottom 5 in pace this year. Atlanta leads the entire league. Like their pace is markedly higher than the Nuggets.
Yeah, this is a big time pace up spot for Denver.
Yeah.
I like Denver a lot, but that's probably not some huge surprise. They'd certainly have the most exposure of any team for me today.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, Think about this. The Nuggets are averaging 98 possessions per 48 minutes. The Hawks are at 107. That's almost 10 more possessions per game, right? That's a big difference. That's a significant difference.
It's major.